The survey ship Horizon's Edge shuddered violently as it broke through the atmospheric barrier of the uncharted world. Marcus Chen gripped the control console, his knuckles white against the flickering displays as warning lights bathed the cockpit in angry red. 20 years of deep space exploration had taught him to read the signs, and every instrument screamed the same message. This landing would not be gentle. "Come on, hold together," he muttered, fighting the unresponsive controls as the ship plummeted toward the planet's surface. The navigation systems had failed hours ago, leaving him blind in the cosmic storm that had torn him from his planned route. Through the cracked viewport, he glimpsed towering spires of what looked like crystal, reaching toward twin moons that cast everything in an otherworldly blue glow. The impact sent shockwaves through his body as the ship carved a furrow through silver sand dunes before finally coming to rest against the base of a massive crystalline structure. Steam hissed from damaged systems as Marcus pulled himself from the pilot's seat, his left shoulder screaming in protest. The ship's hull had cracked like an eggshell, but miraculously, the life support system still functioned. Stepping outside, Marcus felt the planet's strange energy immediately. The air hummed with an almost musical quality. The sand beneath his feet sparkled with tiny fragments that caught the moonlight. The crystal spires rose around him like a frozen forest, each one unique in its spiraling geometry. Some reached hundreds of meters into the star-filled sky, while others formed delicate bridges between the larger structures. He activated his scanner, sweeping the area for signs of life. The readings were bizarre, massive energy signatures, emanated from the crystals themselves. But there was something else, something that made his skin tingle with anticipation. A presence, ancient and powerful, seemed to watch from the shadows between the gleaming towers. The silence was profound, broken only by the gentle tinkling of crystal chimes as a warm breeze passed through the structures. Marcus had surveyed dozens of worlds, but none had felt so alive, so aware of his presence. He secured his emergency beacon and gathered his survival gear, knowing that rescue might be weeks away if it came at all. As he explored deeper into the Crystal City, Marcus began to notice intricate patterns carved into the structures. They weren't random formations, but deliberate architecture, built by intelligence far beyond human understanding. The carvings seemed to shift in his peripheral vision, telling stories of a civilization that had mastered forces he could barely comprehend. A sound made him freeze, footsteps, light as whispers, echoing from somewhere ahead. His hand moved instinctively to the plasma pistol at his side as a figure emerged from behind a towering spire. She was humanoid, but definitely not human, her skin bearing a faint luminescence that matched the crystal formations around them. Her hair flowed like liquid starlight. Her eyes held the depth of millennia. She moved with fluid grace, neither threatening nor welcoming, simply observing this unexpected visitor to her domain. When she spoke, her voice carried the same musical quality as the wind through the crystals. "You should not have come here, wanderer from the void," she said, her accent unlike anything Marcus had ever heard. "This place is not meant for your kind." Marcus slowly raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. "I didn't choose to come here. My ship was damaged in a storm." He gestured toward the wreckage. "I'm just trying to survive until rescue arrives." The being, for he could think of no better word to describe her, stepped closer, and Marcus caught the scent of ozone and something floral he couldn't identify. Her gaze was intense, searching as if she could read the contents of his soul. "Die. Amzaphora, last guardian of Kelthara," she said finally. "And you, Marcus Chen of Earth, have arrived at a time when the very fabric of this world trembles on the edge of extinction." Secrets of the Crystal Heart Marcus stared at Zephyra in shock. "How do you know my name? How do you know about Earth?" His scanner hadn't detected any technology that could have accessed his ship's computers, yet she spoke with certainty about things she shouldn't have known. Zephyra's luminescent features softened slightly. "The crystals sing with the memories of all who walk among them, your thoughts, your essence. They resonate through the network that connects every spire, every fragment of this world." She gestured toward the towering structures around them. "I have been alone here for 700 of your years, Marcus Chen. The crystals have been my only companions, sharing glimpses of distant worlds and the beings who inhabit them. The weight of her loneliness hit Marcus like a physical blow. 7 centuries of solitude in this beautiful but empty city, he couldn't imagine such isolation. What happened to your people? Why are you alone? They transcended, Zephyra replied, her voice carrying ancient sadness. When the crystal heart began to fail, they had a choice: stay and die with their world, or merge with the cosmic forces they had learned to manipulate. All chose transcendence except me. Someone had to remain to tend the heart, to keep it beating for as long as possible. She led him deeper into the city, past spiraling towers that hummed with barely contained energy. At the center, Marcus saw their destination, a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with a rhythm like a heartbeat. The crystal heart was easily 50 meters tall, its faceted surface showing swirling galaxies of light that seemed to contain entire universes. It is dying, Zephyra said softly, placing her palm against the crystal's surface. Each year, its light grows dimmer. When it finally fails, the atmospheric processors will shut down. The gravity wells will collapse, and Kelthera will become another dead rock floating in the void. Marcus approached the crystal heart, his scanner registering energy readings that defied explanation. The patterns of light within reminded him of quantum field equations he'd studied at the academy, but operating on a scale that suggested technology millions of years ahead of human understanding. How long does it have? He asked, watching the slow pulse of light through the crystal's core. Perhaps 50% of your years, if I am fortunate. Zephyra moved to stand beside him, and Marcus felt a strange warmth radiating from her presence. I have tried everything within my knowledge to repair it, but I am merely a guardian, not an engineer, of my people's science. Marcus studied the readings on his scanner, his mind racing through possibilities. The energy patterns weren't entirely alien. There were similarities to human fusion technology, albeit operating on principles he didn't fully understand. What if there was another way? What if we could adapt human technology to interface with your systems? Zephyra turned to face him, hope flickering in her ancient eyes. You believe this is possible? I don't know, Marcus admitted, but my ship's fusion core is still intact. It's primitive compared to this, but the fundamental principles might be compatible. He met her gaze, seeing something there that made his heart race, not just hope, but something deeper, more personal. I'm willing to try if you'll help me understand how your technology works. It would require you to link with the crystal network, Zephyra warned. The process is intense, overwhelming for minds not evolved to handle such input. My people spent millennia learning to commune with the crystals safely. Marcus stepped closer to her, drawn by an attraction he couldn't fully explain. Then teach me. Show me what I need to know. Zephyra studied his face, searching for signs of doubt or fear. Instead, she found determination and something else that made her pulse quicken. A longing that matched her own after centuries of isolation. Very well, but we must proceed carefully. The neural interface can be ... intimate. She placed her hands on either side of his head, her touch electric against his skin. Close your eyes and open your mind to mine. Let the boundaries between us dissolve. As their minds connected through the crystal network, Marcus gasped at the flood of sensations. He could feel Zephyra's thoughts, her memories, her emotions washing over him like a tide. But beneath the overwhelming rush of alien consciousness, he sensed her profound loneliness and the spark of something new, desire, hope, and the beginning of love blooming between two beings from different stars. Through her eyes, he saw, as it once was, a thriving world of crystal cities and beings of light who had touched the very fabric of reality. And through his eyes, she saw Earth, humanity's struggles and triumphs, the beauty of a species that refused to surrender in the face of impossible odds. When they separated, both were breathless, their connection forever changed by the intimate sharing of souls. The days that followed blurred together as Marcus and Zephyra worked side by side, their minds increasingly attuned to each other through their shared connection with the crystal network. The neural interface had awakened something profound between them a bond that transcended the physical and touched the very essence of their beings. Marcus had salvaged the fusion core from his damaged ship, and with Zephyr's guidance, they began the delicate process of adapting human technology to the alien systems. It required them to maintain almost constant neural contact, their consciousness flowing together. As they manipulated forces that could reshape matter at the quantum level, your people's approach is so different from ours, Zephora murmured as they recalibrated the core's harmonic frequencies. She stood close behind him, her hands guiding his as they worked with crystalline interfaces that responded to thought as much as touch. You build with metal and fire, forcing the universe to bend to your will. We learn to dance with cosmic forces, to become partners rather than conquerors. Marcus felt her breath against his neck, sending shivers through his body that had nothing to do with the planet's strange energies. Over the past week, their working relationship had evolved into something deeper, more intimate. The mental connection they shared had broken down barriers that might have taken months to overcome naturally. Maybe that's what this world needs, he replied, turning to face her. A combination of both approaches. Human determination merged with your people's wisdom. His hand found hers, their fingers intertwining as naturally as their thoughts had. Learn to blend. Zephyr's luminescent skin seemed to glow brighter at his touch. Marcus, there is something you must understand about what is happening between us. The neural interface, it creates bonds that run deeper than your kind typically experiences. What you feel, what we both feel, it may not be entirely natural. Does that make it less real? Marcus asked, stepping closer until they were barely a breath apart. Everything I've learned about your people, about this world, tells me that emotion and thought are energy patterns just like everything else. If the crystals amplified what was already growing between us, does that make it artificial? Zephora searched his eyes, seeing the truth there. The attraction, the growing love, had existed before the neural interface deepened it. My people believed that consciousness was the fundamental force of the universe, that love was simply another form of energy-seeking resonance. But Marcus, I am not human. I am not even entirely biological anymore. The centuries of connection to the crystal network have changed me, made me something between flesh and living energy. In response, Marcus cupped her face in his hands, marveling at the warmth of her skin and the way the patterns of light beneath the surface pulsed in rhythm with her emotions. Then show me what you are. Show me all of you. Zephira's eyes widened with surprise and something deeper, desire that had been building through their days of intimate mental contact. Slowly, she allowed her true nature to manifest. Her skin became translucent, revealing the network of energy that had replaced much of her biological structure. She was living starlight given form, a being who existed simultaneously in the physical realm and the quantum dimensions that her people had mastered. You're beautiful, Marcus whispered, his voice filled with awe. We're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The barriers between them dissolved completely as they kissed. Their connection amplified by the crystal network until it felt as if their very souls were merging. Marcus felt Zephyr's thoughts, her fears, her joy at finally finding someone who could accept her transformed nature. Through their link, she experienced human emotion with an intensity that left her breathless. They moved together with a synchronicity that seemed choreographed by the universe itself. As their bodies joined, the crystal heart pulsed brighter, responding to their emotional resonance. The network carried their shared passion through every spire and tower, creating a symphony of light that painted the night sky in colors that had no names. In that moment of complete unity, Marcus understood what Zephyr's people had discovered. That love, consciousness, and the fundamental forces of existence were all expressions of the same cosmic truth. They were no longer two separate beings, but a single entity existing across multiple dimensions. As they lay entwined afterward, the crystal formations around them still glowing with the afterglow of their connection, Zephora traced patterns on Marcus's chest that seemed to burn with gentle fire. What we have done changes everything, she said softly. The bond between us is now permanent, written into the very structure of space-time. But Marcus, if we succeed in saving this world, if the crystal heart is restored, I may be forced to transcend as my people did. The energy required might transform me beyond physical form. Marcus pulled her closer, feeling the truth of her words. Through their shared connection, but refusing to accept the inevitability of loss, then we'll find another way. We'll save your world and find a way to stay together. I won't lose you, Zephyra, not when I've finally found what I didn't even know I was searching for. The warning came without sound, a ripple of disturbance through the crystal network that jolted both Marcus and Zephyra from their peaceful morning. She sat up instantly, her skin flickering with patterns of alarmed light as information flowed. Through her enhanced consciousness, "Ships," she said, her voice tight with worry. 3 vessels, heavily armed, approaching from the outer system. They will arrive within hours. Marcus was already moving, pulling on his clothes as he accessed his scanner. The readings confirmed Zephyra's warning. Military vessels. Their energy signatures matching the profiles of hegemony warships he'd seen in classified reports. How did they find us so quickly? Your distress beacon, Zephyra replied, though. Her expression suggested she sensed deeper complexities. But these ships, they carry technology I do not recognize. Dark energies that do not sing with the natural harmonics of the universe. Through the crystal network, Marcus felt her growing. Fear not for herself, but for him. The approaching ships represented everything her people had fled from eons ago, beings who sought to harvest and exploit rather than understand and nurture. The hegemony, Marcus said grimly. They must have been monitoring long-range communications. If they've found Kelthara, they'll strip mine the entire planet for the crystal technology. He turned to face her, seeing his own determination reflected in her luminous eyes. We have to accelerate our timeline. How close are we to completing the fusion core integration? Zephyra consulted the Crystal Heart's complex displays, streams of data flowing through her consciousness at speeds that would have overwhelmed any human mind. Perhaps 6 hours if we push the harmonics beyond safe parameters. But Marcus, the process requires constant neural interface. If we are interrupted during the final synchronization, the feedback could destroy both our minds, Marcus finished. He'd learned enough about the crystal network to understand the risks. What about you? Could you interface with their ship systems, disrupt their approach? Not without leaving the heart unguarded during its most vulnerable phase. Moved to the central console, her hands dancing over controls that responded to her thoughts as much as her touch. There is another option, but it requires a choice you may not be willing to make. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the crystal chamber's atmosphere. Through their bond, he sensed the magnitude of what she was considering. Tell me. I could begin the transcendence process early. Merge partially with the cosmic forces my people learned to manipulate. In that state, I could interface with the crystal heart directly. Complete the fusion integration in minutes rather than hours. But the process would be irreversible. I would become something beyond physical form, able to exist only within the crystal network. The thought of losing her, of having her transform into pure energy and light, hit Marcus like a physical blow. They had found each other across the vast emptiness of space, had formed a bond that transcended species and dimensions. To lose her, now, just as they had discovered the depth of their connection, seemed like a cosmic cruelty. There has to be another way, Marcus said, pulling her close. What if I could delay the hegemony ships? My survival skills, my knowledge of their tactics, I could create enough interference to buy us the time we need. Zephyra's eyes flashed with alarm. You would be 1 man against 3 warships. The mathematics of survival are not favorable. Maybe not, Marcus admitted. But I've survived 20 years in deep space by being smarter and more resourceful than my enemies. Besides, you said it yourself, the crystal network amplifies consciousness and will. If our bond is as strong as I believe, maybe you could channel power through me, give me capabilities beyond normal human limits. Through their shared connection, Zephyra felt his absolute determination. This human, this wanderer who had crashed into her world and changed everything, was willing to face impossible odds rather than lose what they had built together. It is theoretically possible, she said slowly. The network could enhance your physical capabilities, give you limited access to quantum manipulation. but the power flow could burn out your nervous system in hours. And even with such enhancement, the hegemony possesses weapons that could sterilize this planet's surface. Marcus kissed her deeply, pouring all his love and determination into their connection, and we'll have to make sure they don't get the chance to use them. Begin the preparations for early transcendence, but don't initiate until absolutely necessary. I'm going to buy us time and see if human stubbornness can overcome superior technology. As he prepared to leave the Crystal Heart's chamber, Zephyra caught his hand. Marcus, if you do not return, if the enhancement burns out your system before, you can come back to me. Know that you have given meaning to 700 years of solitude. Through our bond, you have shown me that love truly is the fundamental force of the universe.
Oh.
Come back, Marcus promised. We're going to save your world and find a way to stay together. That's not hope talking, that's mathematics. The universe brought us together against impossible odds. I refuse to believe it would separate us now. As he left the chamber, enhanced by crystal energy that made him faster and stronger than any human had ever been, Marcus felt Zephyra's love, flowing through their connection like a river of starlight, giving him power beyond anything he had ever imagined. The first hegemony ship breached Kelthera's upper atmosphere like a metallic predator, its hull gleaming with weapons arrays that could crack continents. Marcus watched from his position among the crystal spires, the network's enhancement allowing him to perceive electromagnetic spectrums invisible to normal human eyes. Through his connection with Zephyra, he felt her presence like a warm flame in his consciousness, giving him strength and clarity. 3 ships total, he whispered, knowing she would hear him through their bond. Lead vessel is a dreadnought. Class enough firepower to glass the entire surface. The other 2 are support cruisers, probably carrying boarding parties. Through the crystal network, Zephyra's voice reached him. The fusion core integration is at 60% completion. I need 20 more minutes, but Marcus, the lead ship, is charging plasma cannons. They intend to destroy the crystal formations. From orbit, Marcus closed his eyes, feeling the quantum energies flowing through his enhanced nervous system. The crystal network had changed him, made him something more than human while still retaining his essential self. He could manipulate matter at the molecular level, bend space-time in small ways. Most importantly, he could interface with technology in ways that should have been impossible. Then it's time to even the odds, he said, launching himself from the crystal spire with a leap that carried him hundreds of meters through the thin air. The network's power flowed through him like liquid lightning, allowing him to manipulate local gravity fields to control his descent. He landed on the hull of the nearest support cruiser just as it passed over the Crystal City's outer perimeter. The ship's defensive systems should have detected him instantly, but the quantum enhancement allowed him to exist in a state of probability flux that confused their sensors. He was simultaneously there and not there, real and unreal, until he chose to collapse the wave function. Placing his hands on the hull, Marcus extended his consciousness through the ship's computer systems. The process was overwhelming. Streams of data, command protocols, and security barriers flowed through his enhanced mind faster than thought. But Zephyra's presence anchored him, her love providing a center of stability in the chaos of alien technology. Within seconds, he had rewritten the ship's navigation systems, turned its weapons on the second support cruiser, and overloaded its reactor core with a feedback loop that would destroy the vessel in minutes. The crew never knew what hit them as their ship turned into an expanding sphere of plasma against Kelthara's night sky. One down, Marcus gasped, feeling the strain of the quantum manipulation burning through his nervous system. Through their bond, he felt Zephyra's alarm at the damage he was inflicting on himself. 75% complete, she replied, her mental voice tight with worry. But the dreadnought is locking weapons on the Crystal Heart. You must stop them now. Marcus looked up at the massive warship hovering 2 kilometers above the Crystal City, its plasma cannons beginning to glow with deadly energy. Even with the network's enhancement, he couldn't reach it in time to prevent the attack. But as he felt Zephyra's love flowing through their connection, he realized there was one more option. Zephyra, can you channel power through our bond? Not just to me, but with me. If we truly are connected across space-time, maybe we can act. As one entity, strain on both our systems would be enormous, she warned. And if I open our connection that completely, I might trigger the transcendence process prematurely. Then we'll transcend together, Marcus said, his voice filled with absolute certainty. Ready? He felt her presence merge completely with his. Consciousness, as she poured the full power of the crystal network through their bond, Marcus became something beyond human, beyond alien, a fusion of consciousness and cosmic energy that could reshape reality through will alone. Together, they reached out across the quantum foam that separated them from the dreadnought. Marcus provided the tactical knowledge and human determination. Zephora contributed the deep understanding of universal forces that her people had mastered. In that moment of complete unity, they became a force of nature. The dreadnought's weapon system suddenly turned inward, plasma cannons redirecting their energy into the ship's own reactor core. Command systems locked out their operators as navigation computers sent the massive vessel into an uncontrolled tumble toward the planet's surface. In seconds, the most powerful warship in the hegemony fleet had been transformed into an unguided meteor. But the effort cost them everything. Marcus felt his enhanced nervous system beginning to burn out from the quantum overload. While through their connection, he sensed Zephora, beginning the irreversible process of transcendence as the crystal network pulled her consciousness beyond the physical realm. No, he whispered, trying to hold on to her presence even as she became something, made of pure light and thought. We're supposed to save your world and stay together. We are together, Zephyr's voice came from everywhere and nowhere, resonating through the crystal network and beyond into dimensions that human language couldn't describe. And we did save my world. The fusion core integration is complete. The crystal heart will beat for millennia to come. Marcus felt his physical body beginning to fail, but he also felt something extraordinary happening. Their bond, forged through love and strengthened by sacrifice, was pulling his consciousness. Along with hers, he was transcending as well, his human essence merging with the cosmic forces that Zephyr's people had learned to touch. Is this death? He asked as his body dissolved into streams of coherent energy. This is transformation, Zephyr replied, her presence wrapping around his consciousness like starlight made manifest. We are becoming something new, something that can exist simultaneously in the physical realm and the quantum dimensions beyond. We will be guardians, not just of Kelthara, but of the love that binds all conscious beings across the universe. As Marcus's awareness expanded beyond the boundaries of flesh and time, he felt their love becoming a force that touched countless worlds, inspiring other beings to seek connection across the vast emptiness of space. They had become living proof that consciousness, love, and hope could transcend any barrier the universe might create in the crystal city below. The heart pulsed with renewed vigor, its light carrying the essence of two souls who had chosen love over safety, unity over separation, and throughout the galaxy, sensitive beings felt a new harmony in the cosmic background radiation, a song of connection that promised no one ever had to face the darkness alone. Their story had ended. Their love had become eternal, written into the very structure of space-time as a beacon for all who dared to step forward without fear.